This access time specifies the time taken in order to read or write any information. When we say RAM, it's nothing but random access memory. So yes, this is a memory where you can store your information. L1, L2, L3. So L3 is the slowest, L2 is the mid-level, and L1 is the fastest cache memory. It is used as an extension for RAM and it enables running of large programs. Hello all, I welcome you all to this session. So over here, my name is Deepa Kutnikar. I am working as an assistant professor under Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. So yes, in today's session, we'll be discussing the first unit of the digital computer organization. So yes, this is the first subject under the Bachelors of Computer Application. So over here, this is the session 3, and I request we have other 3 sessions which has been recorded before this. So yes, I just request you to have a look of it. That's like a complete overview of a subject. You have been explained about a question paper pattern and the complete syllabus. In the first session, we have discussed the basics of computers, like what is a computer, what are the different characteristics of computer, and what are the different types of computer. And up next is the second session where we discuss the different peripheral devices and the input-output interfaces. So yes, this is a third session. So let's start the session. This were the topic which was discussed in the last session. That's like we did discuss what are the peripheral devices and what are the input-output interferences. So we did discuss the different varieties of peripheral devices and also discuss like what's the importance of interface and what are the different kinds of interface utilized in order to form a computer system. Yeah, so let's move forward and let's see what's the agenda of today's session. So yes, in today's session, we'll be discussing about the memory organization, and then we'll also discuss the characteristics. Okay, what are the different characters, why we are so dependent on the computer system? It's because of its storage, that's memory. So yes, we'll be discussing that. Also, we'll be discussing about the types of memories. So all these things are being discussed in this session, that's session 3. So yes, I just request all of you to, before watching this video, we have 3 more videos. That's a session 0, which is a complete overview of the subject wherein you'll be having a complete chapter wise explanation as well as the pattern of your DCO being explained. Yeah, I just request you to go and check it. So also there's a session 1 which shows the fundamentals of computer systems, like what is a computer, characteristics of computer, and then what are the different types of computers and all those. That in session 1, yes, that's a basic foundation for those computers. So yes, please watch that. And even in the last session, that's in session 2, we had discussed the things which is being explained just before this. That's a recap. All right, so let's heading forward. Let's understand what is memory. Yeah, so yes, let's start that. The memory system. Memory system of computer, it plays a vital part because it will store the data, information, as well as the intermediate results which are responsible for completion of the operation. So yes, that's altogether we can call it as a memory system. This memory system allows fast access to the memory. This allows the fast access of information, allowing the CPU to execute the task in an efficient manner. So let's see what are the different kinds of memory devices which we utilize in our day-to-day life. So yes, it's a memory card reader. It is used to store the information, correct, right? So in our mobile phones, we'll be having that same slot. In that same slot, even we'll be having the card slot. That's a memory card slot. Yeah, so yes, we can consider it as a memory system. And then we are having external optical drivers in order to support that optical informations. Then we have USB memory flash, which is one of widely used memory device. And then media devices, zip drive, as well as ROM and RAM. These are the different kinds of memory devices. Okay, so let's move forward and understand what are the characteristics of memory. The first character of our memory is Access time. This access time specifies the time taken in order to read or write any information. So this forms a crucial part while considering the memory. Correct, right? So we have to complete our task, or we want our task to be completed very quickly. So while copying, you might have observed it will be showing the percentage of completion, right? So it should be fast. So how does it been calculated? So it's through its access time. And the next is volatility. It specifies whether your data is lost if the power is cut. Okay, so that's volatile. Next is the capacity. This capacity specifies the maximum data or the information that a memory can hold. So this is also one of a important character or a property. Okay, so up next is a cost per bit. If you are using Gmail and let's consider your storage is full, now the Gmail will be giving pop-up like if you want external or additional storage, please pay this amount. So yes, that's the cost per bit. The amount is been calculated per bit, but for you it will be showing completely for this much of space. This is the amount. So yes, that is also a very important property. That's a cost per bit. So which says cost of storing 1 bit of data. Up next is a speed. Obviously, it specifies how quickly the data can be sent or written or read from a memory device or a CPU. Up next is the next property, that's location. So whether we have to be clear like where my memory has to be placed. Either it has to be placed inside my CPU or it has to be placed on an external device or a peripheral device. So that's what is nothing but a location. So yeah, whether inside a CPU. So inside CPU, we can give an example of a register, and outside we can consider as a hard disk. So these are few basic as well as important characters of a memory system. So let's head up with the types of memory. Oh wow. So it's types of memory. Under this we'll be studying which memory is called as the fastest memory, and also you'll be getting that knowledge of borrowed space. We'll also be learning which memory is called as borrowed space, and also you'll be studying which is a short-term memory. All these things. Yeah. So let's get started and let's see which is the first type of memory. And yes, it's none other than our primary memory, which will be under main memory. So yes, primary memory, as the name itself specifies, it is the primary memory which is required when the system is turned on. Yes, let's see. This is a memory which is used by the CPU to store the current instructions as well as the data. Yeah. So now under this, we are having two other types, that's a RAM as well as the ROM. Okay. So let's define the two types of data, that's a RAM as well as a ROM. So when we say RAM, it's nothing but random access memory. So yes, this is a memory where you can store your information while your data is being processing. Okay. So now what happens to this is whenever the power is turned off. So let's consider an example like you'll be using your system and you'll be typing something. Yeah, at that moment, if suddenly power breaks or the power cut happens, what happened to your information? So your information will be lost. Why? Because the system stores the information in the RAM. It is in the RAM. It's not completed yet. Yeah. So for that sake, your information will be lost. But if you want your information to be bit safer, then you have to store your information in a ROM. That's a read-only memory where we can say whenever the power is also turned off, your information or the data is stored or you can retrieve it. Okay, so that's the main difference between RAM and ROM. So because of this feature, we can say RAM has completely volatile, which says yes, data will be lost when power is off. Okay, so now with respect to ROM, yes, it is non-volatile because your information will not be lost. So yes, the data remains even after power off. Okay, so yes, What is this? So yes, the ROM stores the boot instruction as well. So like whenever you turn on your PC, it will be having some main instruction or the main function, that's a BIOS, which is called as basic input output software. So yes, this will be stored under this ROM. Okay, so yes, the different types of ROM we can define are PROM, EPROM and EEPROM. So PROM means programmable read-only memory, and over here EPROM is nothing but electrically programmable read-only memory. Okay, so yes, these are RAM and ROM. Now we have two more types under this RAM. So yes, we already know it's a volatile. It is like, it's volatile, we'll be losing the data whenever the power is shut or the power is off. Now under that we have two more types, that's a static RAM, or we can also call it as SRAM, and one more is a dynamic RAM or a DRAM. This static RAM, the main characteristics or the main key points of this is it is very faster and expensive, as well as used in the cache memory. Yeah, so up next we have our dynamic memory. So yes, under dynamic memory we can say this memory is slower, it is cheaper compared to SRAM, and it is used in the main memory, that's under this primary memory. So yes, this is a fast type of memory, that's a primary memory. So the second one is a cache memory. The cache memory, we can see it has a very high speed memory which is placed between the CPU as well as the RAM. Okay, so now it stores frequently used data. So yes, cache memory will be storing the frequently used data so that there is no need to again and again go back to CPU and collect the information. There is no need to follow all this protocol. Here, as this cache memory has that frequently used data, it can directly take the data from the memory and process it or display it. So that's the main utilization of the cache memory, so that we can say the cache memory is the high speed memory. So the levels, so yes, because of it, we can say the CPU performance improves. Okay, so yes, we have different levels under this cache, that's a L1, L2, L3. So L3 is the slowest, L2 is the mid level, and L1 is the fastest cache memory. Okay, so up next is the CPU registers. So if you want to store anything directly in your CPU, no need of external devices, then you need some space, correct? So the space where you can store your information on the CPU is called as registers. So it is termed as a CPU registers. So it is one of the smallest as well as the fastest memory unit. It is smallest, why? Because it is smallest. Why? Because it should be placed on the CPU, correct? So as we know already, my CPU is so compact. And if I want to add some components on my CPU, obviously the component has to be made more compact than CPU, correct? So yes, that's the reason it's smallest, but it's fastest. Why? Because already you'll be having that information in your CPU. So there is no need to again going back to your secondary memory and dragging the information, because your information will be already present in the register. Clear, right? So that's why it is called as the fastest as well as the smallest memory. So yes, we know this, located inside the CPU, and then it stores the data temporarily only during executions. Okay, so we have various types under this registers, like program counters. We need counter, correct? So in order to complete our program, we need counters. Also, we need that accumulators in order to specify that basic information, and the instruction register. So these are various types under the CPU register. Clear? So yes, you can have a look. The CPU, with the CPU will be having this register imposed. So that's a CPU register. Let's see the next type of memory. So yes, that's a secondary memory, a prominent memory type, which is also called as a auxiliary storage. So yes, something if you want to store for a long term, then you have to go with the secondary storage device. Okay, so yes, it is used for permanent data storage, and this memory type is non-volatile. It says like whenever the power goes, even at that time you can have that information stored in the secondary memory. Okay, so then we can say it is larger in size but slower access speed, as it is a peripheral device, that's external peripheral device. We can say the speed is less because it is not connected directly with the CPU. It needs some peripheral device, and then this peripheral device is connected with CPU and it should follow all the protocol. So yes, for that reason it becomes a bit slower with respect to operation. So we can call it as slower access speed. So the examples is like hard disk, solid state drivers, as well as the optical disks, which we were using some years before. That's a CD as well as a DVD. Clear, right? Up next, let's see the next memory. So yes, it's a virtual memory. So virtual memory. So I had told you in the beginning, like which memory is called as a borrowed space. Yeah. So yes, it's this. The virtual memory is called as a borrowed space. Whenever the temporary memory or the RAM is completely full and you need some space for your operation, at that time the CPU will be borrowing some space from the from the hard drive. So that space is nothing but this virtual memory. So you can see it is used as part of secondary memory as an extension of RAM. So this is very, very important. It is used as an extension for RAM, and it enables running of large programs. Yes, obviously it is managed by crucial system software, that's an operating system, and this is implemented using paging as well as segmentation. Yeah, so this is a virtual memory. So let's see the next type of memory. Okay, so it's a external memory, or we can also call it as a backup storage. This is used for data backup as well as transferring of data. So we can just consider a best example for this backup is a hard disk. It is portable as well as removable. Whenever you want, you can just go ahead, connect it and use it. And you don't want, you just remove it. So yes, it's portable and removable. And the example of this is it's USB flash drives, the external hard disk, or the memory cards. So these are few examples of backup storage devices or the backup memory devices. Thus was today's session. We have completed the characteristics of memory as well as the types of memory, and prominently we have understood what is a memory system, right? So this is a session 3, and up in the session 4 we'll be discussing about the types of software, like what is a software and what are the different types of software and all. Yeah, so till then please watch the videos and stay updated. Thank you.